There it is.
Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is LeClere, father-daughter writing duo and historical reenactors. LeClere is the names of the two authors, the father-daughter team of Bill and Becca. They playfully argue over whose name is represented by the first beat. They're both experienced in various reenacting genres, through the age of chivalry to the age of pirate. If they're not your favorite now, they will be after.
All right.
Yay! Welcome.
Thank you.
Hello. How are y'all doing this evening?
Just
Good.
wonderful.
Excellent.
Pleasure.
Okay. Now, which one of you is Bill and which one's Becca?
I'm Becca.
I'm okay. Yeah.
Just, no assumptions. We live in a no assumptions world. Right?
You'll never know.
That's right. I love it. I will say Og says that he can't make out the books on your bookshelf, and it's very infuriating. He really wants to know what books are back there.
Oh, there's all sorts. We got a lot of Anne McCaffrey's right here.
Huh?
Yeah.
Nice. Is he Star Wars?
Some various pirate novels back there.
Lots
Yes.
of books over here. It's like reference books back here.
That's awesome.
College-
Coons.
Kids.
You do have a variety.
College reference books.
Clive Cussler's up here.
Yep.
That's what I'm seeing, Clive Cussler. That's awesome.
It's actually Clive Cussler.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Took some inspiration from Clive Cussler because when he starts each book out with a historical moment, and then he'll build a story out of that little nodule, and we just kind of stayed in the historical moment for him.
That's awesome.
Same with Dan Brown to a degree.
Yeah, I was reading Clive Cussler when I was a young kid, and he was the first one to introduce me to the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I've been mad about it ever since.
Yes.
Just for the record.
Dirty dog. There's no smoking section over there.
That's right. But apparently it ended up in Texas somewhere, so maybe I just need to look harder. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's great. Those are awesome. Yeah, Og agrees with the Pern books. They said those are some of his firsts.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love the Pern books.
Good stuff.
Awesome. All right. So, historical reenactors, huh? What do you normally reenact? What's your favorite?
Oh, my favorite would probably be pirate. I was a professional pirate for 10 years, captain of a pirate ship down in St. Augustine.
Oh, Black Raven.
Oh, cool.
And we got to sword fight and shoot black powder every day and paint kids' faces. That was fun too. Teach little kids little foam sword fights. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. And really
I grew
enjoyed
up in the SCA. From as early as I can remember, I was part of, Renaissance fairs and such. So reenacting was like my life. It was part of childhood.
We also ran a Ren fair in Jacksonville for about 5 years, give or take.
What?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of work. But had some really amazing super people around us that made it.
People that we're still friends with today.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, there's amazing people at Ren fairs, but to actually run one, now that's brave.
Yeah. It was.
It was one of those things where same thing happened when I got into pirates. I showed up expecting to be like the third guy in line over here. And by the end of the first week, I'm like, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Me? What? And I didn't ask for it, but I ended up with it. I guess everybody else stepped back one step and there I was,
To be fair, you took the pirate reenacting group from a parade a year to an amazing.
Yeah, we had 75 people in the group. We were the first pirate group in North Florida. And we had our own float. We had our own actual pirate ship. We had, we really built it into a thing. And it was pretty strong for quite a while.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
That sounds like a ball. So was that isn't there like in St. Augustine a big pirate event once a year?
In Tampa, there's one called Gasparilla.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
Ironically enough, I've yet to be able to get to one of those. Every time it comes to me, I'm committed somewhere else and I just can't get away every single time. So I've yet to be able to get to one of those.
And Tampa's just far enough away that you need the full weekend commitment.
Yeah, it's not a day trip. So
Yep, I can feel that. Yeah, it's a long way down from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So how did you fall into this hobby? Like, what was the spark? Obviously, Becca, you grew up in it.
Yeah.
Right? So you were like, I had no choice. It's part of my DNA.
Yeah. Here's the whole thing. I went to a medieval festival thing in Gainesville called Hogtown. And it's not really hard themed. It's kind of an open format. It's anything goes just about. And I bought a sword. Bought a big old two-handed sword because I thought it was cool. And then I thought, I don't know, I want to hang this on the wall, but I feel like I haven't earned it, so to speak. I want to know how to use it. So in learning how to use the sword, I went and found the SCA, practicing in a park one day. And I started hanging out with them, and I got more and more involved and ended up being rapier marshal for the local shire. And stuff like that. It was a lot of fun. Met some awesome people, and that led to the Ren fairs, and that also led to It also led to the pirate thing, because the pirate thing started as a volunteer thing, and then from that, another guy saw me doing that, said, "Hey, we're bringing a ship into town. You want to try out for it?" Okay, and that's the whole pretty much evolution right there. I went and bought a sword one day, and it kind of evolved all the way from there.
And that was it. It was a magic sword, apparently.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. The so question, since you're so involved in the SCA, what did you think of did you watch the Hawkeye show?
Yes.
The Christmas one, the Disney one. So what did you think of that rendition?
They were awesome. It was very similar to the whole family dynamic that happens in the SCA.
Right. And
it was
the reaction from everybody is the same. When you first glance at them, everybody's like, "Oh, really? You're gonna?" And then as you get into it, just even a little bit, you're like, "All right, this is actually pretty cool."
Yeah.
And you find yourself all of a sudden, knee deep in this situation. So,
which is what he did, right? He was like, "All right, y'all are weird," and then he's like, "All right, y'all are pretty cool." But I liked how they use their creative aspect. They use their leadership aspect. They use and I think I'm so happy that they did that, because people on the outside, a lot of times, you're just like, "All right, weirdos." But once you get, it's like, no, we love people. Don't you understand that? We love people. This is fun. You should try it. You'll like it.
And they stepped up and were heroes in their own right.
Yeah.
Exactly. They weren't just play acting. They were just waiting for their chance.
My opinion, that all that stuff is passion personified.
Yes.
You have a passion for history, or a passion for, genres or sword fighting or Renaissance or chivalry. Personify that. I'm going to pursue this passion. And I think that's a very cool and valuable thing.
Yeah, I loved it. I was happy. So I wonder, your interaction through that hobby, it led pretty smoothly into writing, didn't it?
It did. In fact, while I was at working on the pirate ship, it's a seasonal thing, right? So there was times when there just wasn't work to be had. So I got a job 2 miles away at a museum, a living history museum, and I played a character in the museum that was an 1835 school teacher and I named him myself, Gregory Periwinkle. I put that character in the book.
But he's a doctor now.
Yeah, he became a doctor.
Yes, he became a doctor, and thank you for reading the book. So that was very easy to put that in there, and then we moved it to 1834 because of the historical events we wanted to tap into and the things that happened in that area during that time. So that's how that evolved.
That's pretty cool. So how does this working together thing work? Like, my dad and I got along pretty well. I can't imagine writing a book with him.
Yeah, better when we're apart.
If we're, not in that way. If we're in the same room, we will spitball ideas until the sun goes down and nothing will get written.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we're separated, even if it's just by a room, much less a house, then he'll write a bit, I'll write a bit, we'll trade, because we write it all on Google Docs so that we can literally watch each other write in real time.
If we wanted to, but best if we don't.
Yes.
If I'm writing 5 chapters down here and she's writing up here, and we put them in wherever they go, it works much better.
That makes sense. I'm a pretty proficient typer, but as soon as my husband watches me type, I suddenly don't know where any of the letters are.
Yeah.
Well,
They
Oh,
go.
Dad is always a hunting pack.
I'm one of
Is he?
these. I'm one of these.
Hey, it works, man. You've written a book.
Yes. Yeah. Book and a half so far. So.
I'm like you though. I can like blaze through lickety split. But if somebody comes and is like, "Oh, you type fast," so suddenly I'm a hunting pack again.
And you're like, I did.
Yeah, I was until you interrupted my flow. What's the you threw off my groove?
Yes, exactly. No, it's that judgment thing for me. Wait, don't judge me.
Yeah.
I know people that write live, right? Like they'll write live and their viewers can watch them write. I'm like, I could never do. I don't have that kind of confidence. There's no way.
I'd be hitting the backspace too many times.
Yeah.
Of course, it'd make everyone else feel better. I'm like, wait, she's published? Well, then I could totally do this. I'm like, it's not done yet. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
So obviously historical fiction is a natural fit.
Yes.
So why did you decide to add zombies?
Well,
Go for it. You tell it best.
we wanted to, where this kernel of an idea started is the steampunk. We thought steampunk was really cool stuff. We see people wearing all these very cool costumes, and we're like, it's intriguing and fascinating. Also, see it spanning through time, right? People can be steampunk, almost Star Wars, or and all the way back to whatever. And we started, where did this come from? And I couldn't find a source. I couldn't even find a core for it, a basic, beginning of it. And so we wrote it. And so we needed this, the origins that's where the 1834, the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So we went to that point in time, and we needed a conflict to spur the invention, and of course, zombies.
What better conflict is there?
What else are you going to get, right? And so we also found out that the word zombie came to America in 1835-ish.
36.
What?
36-ish. So right around the same time. So we're getting the origin of both.
With the Haitians in New Orleans, they brought the term zombie with an N, Z-O-N-B-I, which they used to refer to somebody that was possessed. So not quite the same thing, but the same general idea.
But that is where the concept comes from, so it makes sense, at least in the modern world.
Right.
So very cool. I did not know that's where the term started, became mainstream. I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
There's been a lot of bizarre things that we've had to research.
Because we're trying to be accurate.
Yes, as historically accurate as we can possibly make it while maintaining a fiction, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
well, you have to. You're right, because historical fiction people, they're a little,
nitpicky.
Exactly. Yeah, nitpicking. See, I was going to use a very not polite word, but nitpicking's a very nice one. Yes.
Yeah, of course.
Because I've had, in each con, there'll be one guy that'll come up. Right?
At least one guy.
And he may not look like this, but he's the guy with the jeans and the suspenders. And he's like, let me just ask you a couple of questions. I'm like, all right.
Usually it's about war or guns.
Yeah. There are some people who are very into guns. And we did our research, so I'm able to face up with these guys and go, yes, but, the flintlock was the weapon up until the middle of the Civil War, and, modifications were made. And we got documentation, and this is the way the bayonet, all these little tiny details that they're trying to get into. We looked at and doing the reenacting helps a lot because we actually got flintlock weapons a lot. So we're very familiar.
Cannons.
And cannons and all that stuff.
Dad's got a cannon in his foyer.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome.
Everybody should, huh? Yeah. So when the girls were starting to date, I'd bring the boys in and kind of linger by the cannon for a little bit. Yeah. So.
Zafo, you missed your chance. Zafo. That's awesome. So how long did it take you to finish this first book?
About a year. The first one took about a year. And then we sold out for everything. Yeah.
Well, when we initially got the first book in hand, we ordered 300 physical copies from our publisher to have on hand to take to cons and peddle the book, so to speak. We got our first physical copies in hand out of the box on March 3rd, 2020.
On March 7th, 2020, the world shut down. Right? We had planned a cruise a long time ago, and I don't know if whoever remembers, But the pandemic started on that cruise ship out on the West Coast, right? That's where it started, and it's like, uh-oh, it's coming to America. We said, well, that's on the entire left coast. There's been no story of it here. We're going to go ahead on the cruise. Turned out great. The cruise was 20% occupied. We had no lines. Went right onto everything. It was very cool. But
while we were on the ship,
that
the country
Thursday,
shut down.
Everything shut down. Ooh.
So all our
We were
cons,
one of the last ships to come into port that was allowed to disembark.
You got in just in time.
Yes,
Yeah.
we did.
Yeah.
I think it was 2 or 3 ships after us that they stopped letting them off.
unfortunately, we should have used that downtime to write, but we did not. We got completely.
We let it
crushed.
get into our heads.
I would say it's a little,
Yeah.
distracting. So yeah.
Yeah.
We had so many big grand plans of going to MegaCon and, other cons, and
Kaput.
they were just out the window. And we were like, how are we going to peddle this, book without people to peddle it to? Yeah, somebody
Sorry,
said
I'm laughing at Kevin Petway in the audience. He's being very mean to me.
What do you say?
I made an error on one of his books and it's fixed now. He just wanted to know that when you got your books, did they have your names at the top of the pages? Yes, they did. And yours do now too. I accidentally printed some of his books and they had my name at the top because the way Vellum formatted something. Yeah. Worst part is I didn't notice. He didn't notice. One of his readers noticed.
Oh, wow. Man, that's got to be.
It's fixed now though. Gosh, doggone it. But now that we've talked about the zombie bit a bit, so that we've set that up, the audience was very curious about what zombie popcorn is.
Zombie popcorn.
Was that for you guys?
That
Was
was
that-
that was a Kevin Petway thing.
Oh, well, I know Lena had started it, but I didn't know. Well, Kevin's going to tell us what zombie popcorn is then.
Yeah, I like steampunk cruise ship idea. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
we had a zombie steamer ship in the first book.
Yeah,
Ooh.
it didn't go well for them.
No.
For the zombies or the steamship?
The
Either
steam
one,
ship.
the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Either one, really, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing was not a. It started out very happy, but not so much.
Well, I have to say, well, we talked about it a little bit, but to get into more details, like in the story at the beginning, that you set it up with a lot of traditional historical bits, like, the barber being the dentist too, things like that. So these little details that aren't important, but if you get them wrong, like we said, right?
Right.
The
So
things
that
you
was
had
cool.
World building.
Yeah, the things
Right.
you had to research. The first
Mhm.
bit of research I ever had to do was when a fountain pen was invented, for a single line of Daggery capping his fountain pen, because he'd had, I think it was phrased, he carefully capped his fountain pen because he'd had too many ink spillages to go about that with any half measures. And that one line, I had to research when a fountain pen was created.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if they didn't have fountain pens in 1835, then he couldn't very well have one. So
We couldn't say kids. Had
Yeah.
to say children.
always has to say children.
Couldn't say
Kids was
okay.
not a thing.
Had to say all right.
Kids were things. They were just goats.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's cool. And that's what sets the flavor for the book, right? So it's not even
Yeah.
just getting the details right, but it's getting the language right. So
Yeah.
not necessarily full on accented, but at least get the, the language right, the words that they would use. It kind of adds that flavor. So I'm wondering, because you also are introducing advanced technology that they would not have necessarily had at that time. So how did you decide what to keep authentic and what to color for the story?
It's all authentic.
A lot of it is surprisingly authentic.
Really?
The airship, there's a guy named Rufus Porter.
Mhm.
He was there at that time. He was in just north of Washington, D.C. when they go back to Washington, D.C. to get help.
Mhm.
He's a logical choice to bring in, and he had an airship that he was advertising just a couple of years later, and his prototype was similar to this, steam-powered, and so that's authentic. And the mechanical hand that comes into play, that is from, and I mentioned the knight's name that was in the 15th century.
Yeah.
That actually had a mechanical hand that he could sword fight with, that he could write with. So
It was turnkey. Like he'd turn a screw or a key and it would tighten the tension on the fingers.
open and close and stuff
So
like
you
that.
get it tight enough to hold a sword and wield it properly, or just tight enough to hold a quill without breaking it and write properly. I'm sure it took
That's
some
pretty
getting used
clever.
to get good penmanship, but
Yeah.
the fact that he was doing it with a fake arm was pretty impressive
Yeah,
for back
so-
Yeah,
then.
especially at that time. Yeah.
Yeah, everything that all the steampunkery we get up to is what I say at the conventions, is stuff that existed at or before that time. Greek fire, some form of it, we put that in. You
The
know.
wind wagons,
We
or-
found paintings of wind wagons.
which are covered wagons with their covers removed
Mhm.
and turned into sails that the Indians would literally sail through the plains in.
Fascinating. Huh. So many things. I was just assuming you were embellishing. I guess I should be nicer next time I see a Doctor Who episode with an airship on it during Victorian times. I should just be nicer.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fine. I'll be nicer. We have a description of zombie popcorn, just in case you want to make some at home.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So you have it, or give it away at your booth, right? You want to have it there at the booth.
Okay.
Apparently it is, where'd it go?
Zombie popcorn is a mix of toes and fingertips, but with the Old Bay seasoning, keeping it classy.
That's right. The Old Bay
Yummy.
seasoning.
Wow.
That's it.
So tasty.
Imagine you'd have to wash them first.
One
It
would
was.
hope.
Yes.
I mean, if you add enough salt, it kills the germs, right? It's fine.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works. It works. Yeah, Og says Old Bay makes everything, almost everything better.
Yeah, almost. The one caveat.
Zombie popcorn. So for this book, so we've got the first one out now, right? But this is a series, yes?
Yeah,
It's going to be a trilogy.
right.
Excellent. Okay, it'll be a trilogy. So do you have what are your plans after this? Like, is there more to this world? Do you have another place that you want to visit, since you do all kinds of reenactments? Obviously you've got a lot of passion.
Yeah.
For after the trilogy, we've got 2 ideas in the works. One that's more my baby than anything, and one that we're also going to co-author.
Very cool.
One, they're both kind of an urban fantasy. Mine is a little more sci-fi.
Yeah. The one that it was actually our first idea, but not the first thing we wrote. I kind of tinkered with a couple chapters.
Mhm.
It's going to be the World Awakens, and
Okay.
it is basically a professor at a community college goes on a cruise ship, and he ends up finding what it looks like a weird rock that doesn't belong there. It's a book, and the book is a thing written by a Knight Templar researching some guys, some basically Marlboro men who lived way early in prehistory, and they had put capstones all over the world at key spots like Machu Picchu, Stonehenge, Cote d'Ivoire, and it makes a geographical Easter Island makes a geographical pattern around the globe, which I had little Post-its all over my globe. And when you uncover these capstones, air gets out that's been trapped in the world, and it changes the atmosphere, and all the laws of nature as we know it change our brains. That 70% that we don't use wakes up. People get magic spells. All kinds of stuff happens, and it changes the world. And that's, on a personal level, where somebody's standing at a party and all of a sudden they can do something that they weren't able to do. And then, how it happens at the global level and stuff like that.
Interesting. Like, talk to people at parties. Could that be the magic power?
I know, right?
That could, we would hope.
I need that power.
Yeah.
Yes, I feel you.
And yours?
Mine it's actually, I got it from a Reddit prompt. I frequent Reddit way more often than I should, but it was a writing prompt I called the book The Pause. And it's what would happen if people started pausing in place all over the world. Fixed in a geographically specific spot. For example, a girl falls off her roof and pauses halfway down. She's suspended there. She's not moving. She's not breathing.
Is she conscious?
There. They don't know. And nothing can affect them. Like if a pause were to pause in an airplane, they would rip through the back of the airplane and it would crash, obviously. But they would still be up there. completely intact with nothing wrong with them.
Well, for now.
Yeah.
And the question is, will they ever unpause?
Right?
And why are they paused? And how do you figure out who paused them? And so on and so forth. So that's the start of the story. And I've gotten the first intro worked out and then hit a writer's block of, Everest proportions and was like, well, now how do I keep going?
And it occurred to me that you may have been asking where we're going with this trilogy next. Or were you asking?
No, these are all great questions. That's one of my questions too. No, keep talking.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're going to travel follow the plague, the affliction across the countryside and south. And there's some other things tossed into the mix to make it more interesting, keep it fresh and fun, so to speak.
Yeah, because, a secret war of 1835 with zombies is totally boring.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we got the title for the next book. It's going to be Tainted Arrow.
Ooh.
That gives you a bit of a hint that something else is afoot. And then we've got that going on.
And once the trilogy is done, we plan to make little almost addendum books where we come in, say, 30, 40, 50 years later to the same world and how people are changed by this.
What happened
in history.
Yeah. We can follow that plague. It can resurface during the Civil War, during the World War I. I like the World War I idea because of what I'm trying to do with this trilogy is to uncover covered history, right? For example, in Detroit in 1834, in 1 month, 900 people died. Okay, history says it was cholera. Now we're saying it's something a little more interesting, right? Mm-hmm. And so in World War I, the Spanish flu, which people are just now starting to talk about, wiped out more people than the war.
Absolutely ravished everybody.
Yep.
And
disease period killed way more people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And the only reason it was called Spanish flu is because the Spanish papers were the only ones that would even talk about it. So take those little moments that are kind of like covered up and say, well, why was that covered up? Maybe it was something else.
Mm-hmm. They were covering up a bigger thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Well, you got a whole new one to cover this century. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're going to hide it from cell phones, though. This will be when the secret's finally out.
Yeah.
So with your expertise in history and your passion for it, is there a time that like you've reenacted, you're familiar with, that you haven't seen in historical fiction? Like a time that's neglected that you think is really fascinating?
Other than what we're writing right now, the in between the wars, because what happens is history records the conflicts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Archaeology records day-to-day life, but nobody reads archaeology books or whatever. Mm-hmm. So what I would be doing is getting the things that led up to World War I. There's a period that is, all right, so some archduke got shot. There had to be more to the story than that. There has to be. So, for all these countries to get involved to that level, what's the real deal? And regular history is probably pretty boring on it. So we would kind of like fluff it up a little bit, add some zombies and some steampunkery and make it a little more exciting. And that would change the war significantly, unless it was so covered up by the government to keep the country from abandoning itself that they went back to other technology.
Well, Kevin's got an idea for you. He says, please, please, please tell him that Walt Disney's head is actually a zombie head in a jar.
Yes.
I was trying not to laugh. I looked down and saw that.
I know. I couldn't help it. I'm laughing. I laugh all the time. I'm sure sometimes people are watching going, what is she laughing at? I'm like, just give me a minute. I'll tell you.
Yeah. I like the concept of,
I got the chat sitting right here. Hey, everybody, we're going to eat your head.
That would be awesome. Lead to a very different Disney story.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. Yeah, Alex says, I don't know. Based on the current world, a bunch of countries can be really stupid together. You could world war over a single dude. Yeah, that's also true. It really can.
We're about to.
The past couple of years have really changed my opinion on humanity all over the place.
Uh-huh.
We've seen some things happen that I thought, no way. We've grown up a little bit. No, we haven't.
We've evolved.
We're still children at a playground.
Yeah, we still haven't quite learned.
Yeah.
Let's see. So we talked a lot about your world. I'm very excited to see the next novels as well. But if you could write in any world that wasn't your own, which world would that be?
Harry Potter.
She's like, done.
I write Harry Potter fan fiction on the regular, so
you do write it. See,
I stopped when we started doing this. My poor reader base is probably non-existent anymore, but
yeah, the fan fiction crowd is ravenous.
They are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What about you, Bill?
I don't know. I might send somebody into Kevin's world, send a horde of zombies across his world and mess things up a little bit, see how that worked out for him. But I don't know. That's a tough one because I like putting this in the real world. In epic fantasy world would be fun, like say Middle Earth. That would be a cool thing. Like when I do my DMing, what I'm doing with that whole thing is couching everything in 2 generations later in Middle Earth. So, you still have this, but it's, Mary's grandkids.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing that are running the taverns and so forth in the Shire. And
you see this airship and the little scene, right? He built an entire bag end that was literally this big out of cardboard and glue. And it looked fabulous. It's actually sitting on top of my dresser right now.
So cool. Now I see why you and Kevin get along. He loves building that stuff too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I'm not that kind of DM, sorry. I don't have time for all that. I just can't. Yeah, it is cool. It's pretty cool. Where's your favorite place to write? I know you said you can't be in the same room, but do you have favorite places you like to write?
When I wrote the first book, it was I've got an office area set up in the house, and I would get in there, and most of the writing happened during like the winter time, when I was really so I'd go in there and pull up the blinds, open the window, and it'd be just a little bit too cool in there. And that was just really nice. It was isolated. But things have evolved, and that's not really the option anymore. I end up writing in hotel rooms and anything else, wherever I can get a spot in the moment.
Yeah, the spare moments, the tricky part.
Because quite often when I'm here at the house, there's 18 chores that need to be done. And it's hard to sit down and go, I can't do that right now. All right, I've got to do that right now. All right, I'm going to go do that right now.
For me, I have a little plastic cheapy lap desk that I got from, I think, Michael's a little while back. And I have a red reclining chair that I got from them when they upgraded to their fantabulous Lazy Boys. So that writing desk, when I'm reclined in the red chair, fits perfectly right in my lap. Nice. So I can just sit there on that and write for hours, and the day will just fly by.
I need one of those. I have one of those desks that you can pull over to the couch.
Yeah.
It's on wheels, except that it doesn't fit under my couch, so it doesn't work. Like, that's not working at all.
I modified mine because I'm a project guy. I modified mine and moved the wheels. I put little plates on it and moved the wheels. The disc, it's got the little square tubing at the bottom. Move the wheels up so it sits just a little bit lower, so it'll fit under stuff.
That's what I need to do.
And then they got a couch with this much clearance underneath it. So
yeah, but I was doing a lot on that when I had a little bit more time. Now I'm trying to get back into it.
Yep, makes sense to me. Those darn chores.
It's always so
never ending.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Buy a house, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Yeah.
Let's see. So when you're not creating new worlds or reenacting, we talked about that. What do you like to do to relax?
Game. I play various games on my laptop. The ones I'm into right now are Valheim and Stranded Deep, which are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I also love Minecraft, Stardew Valley.
Me too.
Sims. I was a very avid Sims 3er, but Sims 3 is not working properly on my laptop at the moment, so now I'm just doing Sims 4. Which I don't like as much. You know, it's a little less user friendly than Sims 3 was as far as like going places in the game, but it's still fun. It's mainly decorating.
I used to do a lot of gaming as well. I did a lot of World of Warcraft. I ran through a bunch of characters, and then they ruined it. I don't know if anybody, but they messed it all up, and it's not worth playing, in my opinion, anymore. Which works out because I run enough characters up to top level, and the whole group thing I didn't ever get happy with. And then also Star Wars: The Old Republic Online game. The big MMO.
RPG, yeah.
Yeah, RPG.
Yep. That's pretty cool. So you love gnomes, right? Just
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good answer. Okay. Let's see. It's a crowd favorite with the current crowd. If it was a different crowd, I would lead you to say that you didn't like gnomes, but this is the right one.
Like gnomes.
Right? And tough, mean warriors.
Pigtails that are sticking straight out.
Could totally see Og and pigtails. If you could travel to one historical event and be a witness, which one would it be? You can't change it. You're just going to watch it.
Yeah, probably like one of the early World's Fairs.
Oh, that's a good choice. How fun would that be?
Yeah.
What a good choice.
Where you can really see everything just breaking into the new,
This change in society. That would be fun.
The erecting of Stonehenge.
Yes, to see what they really were doing. Yeah. Well, the how's the easy part, but it's the why. The why is the answer. You cannot answer.
What's going on here? What's all this about?
Who's your shaman? I need to talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, those are great answers. I love that. Okay, now we have hit our lightning round of the evening. So these are very, very important questions. So I hope you're ready. That's right. Sit up. These are important questions.
Me trying to pay attention right here. Okay.
Good. It's important ones. First, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Chocolate. Rocky Road.
Salted caramel.
Excellent. Can zombies climb?
Ours can early on because it's an evolution. It's a disease.
Early on in their affliction.
Right. So the farther afflicted they get, the worse they get. There's not this eternal zombie thing going on. They're physically, scientifically feasible.
They can wield rudimentary weapons. They can't fire a gun, but they can wield rudimentary weapons.
At first.
Like a club and what have you.
Some
at
of
first.
them. Yeah, at first.
Excellent.
And then as they devolve.
Yeah.
Then they can't. Yes, that is a yes, Og. I agree. Excellent.
Yes, that is a yes.
You answered all the questions right. I'm so impressed. Okay, now, if you can meet one idol, who would it be?
Idol.
Wow. Eric Idle, because he's an idol.
It's like the only idol I can think of right now is Eric Idle.
Here's Anthony.
Ooh, yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah.
He went with the Brits. I find that amusing.
He was one of the keystones in my love of reading. My mom gave me Spell for Chameleon when I was 11, and I have not stopped reading since.
That's
Him and
awesome.
LeVar Burton for Reading Rainbow were the, impetus for my reading lust, really.
And to grow up in such a creative family where you're doing all these historical things, I think you were destined to be a creator. No doubt. Destined. You didn't have a choice. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, you should say sorry, Bill.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry. Sorry. Not sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. Exactly. So now, what is the
I'll just live with this.
So what is the best thing you have ever, or at least recently, eaten?
Ooh.
Sushi.
No. No, I eat sushi all the time, so it's not like a new thing.
All right. You ever ordered out crumble cookies?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. They're cookies that are like this big and they're about that thick and they're just, they're
It's like
so
a cake.
good.
They're delicious.
It's like a cake each, and they've got all these different.
They've only got like 5 options, but those 5 options are always changing.
And they rotate, right?
Because they make new ones a new type every day.
Last batch, there was one that was made with cornflakes and peanut butter and marshmallow.
How do you eat that? Do you need a fork?
No, I just starved it down and gained 20 pounds right there on the spot.
Worth the calories, though. Worth the
I
calories.
eat them by the half. They're so massive, I eat half at a time.
Yeah, I should do that.
You should.
First time you try to put that pirate coat on, it doesn't fit anymore. You'll know who to blame. That's awesome. Becca's like, I don't know. There are too many good things.
I am a foodie. I will admit that right off the rip. I am very much a foodie. I eat or will try at least once almost anything. There are a few caveats, a few things that I'm like, never going to try that. No. But the first time I tried, I think, escargot, it was very good. It was on a cruise ship. The Big Red Boat tells you how long ago that was. And it was delicious. And I think that sparked my love of food and trying new things. Because I was like, this is snails? Are you serious? You want me to eat slugs? Really? I was like, okay, and tried it, and I loved it, and it was delicious. So,
I mean, it tastes like butter and garlic. What's not to like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, Lena says that she's exchanged emails with Pierce Anthony, and he's still writing, and will write you back.
Oh my God.
Oh,
I would love
do it.
so much. Yeah.
Just you know.
Yeah.
Apparently, you're having sushi with someone who has written to Pierce Anthony and answered back.
I know.
I know. Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of chores, it's funny we talked about that because my next question is, what is your least favorite chore around the house?
Dishes. Hate doing dishes. By hand, specifically. Like, if I have a dishwasher, fine. I'll rinse, stack them in, run the washer, take them out, all that stuff. I hate washing dishes by hand, mainly because I can't stand for that long in one spot without aggravating my sciatica. So by the end of doing a full sink load of dishes, it's just my body hates me and I can't do anything else for the rest of the day.
For me, I watched some of your other podcasts, and one of them was one with Kevin, and he kind of reminded me that this is my least favorite chore. It's raccoon duty.
Oh, yeah.
We have a pet flap for these canimals, some of them you've seen, to go in and out, so I don't have to open the door every 30 seconds.
Uh-huh.
And every now and then a raccoon will come in, so I have to leave a raccoon trap and eat the cat food and dip it in the water and leave muddy tracks all over the kitchen. So I have to put a raccoon trap outside, which means I have to check every morning before sunup when I'm an early riser. And check and see, and if there's there, then I have to take them to an undisclosed location where it may or may not be legal to unloose them and release the thing and come back, and then I can start my day. And it's not a pleasant thing. I've probably 3 dozen raccoons I've hauled out of here.
Well, at least they're alive. Kevin's duty is a little different.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he's got help. His
dogs take care of it for him. They're the trap.
They take care of the dirty work for him.
When I was a teen living in this house, we had a black cat named Morpheus, who I swear was part panther. And
big muscular cat,
definitely a Mauser. And he would bring in squirrels to share with us. But he would take his favorite part first. So I had to be the one to bury thousands of headless squirrels because he would eat his favorite part first and then give us the rest.
Fun times when he brought one in and let it loose. He got into the Christmas tree right after I first time watched a Christmas Vacation movie.
Yeah.
And
he must have been watching. He thought it was funny.
Fun times right there.
They've also brought in live birds, a few live bats, and guess who gets to be the one to take care of those when he's not here? I actually just rescued a tufted titmouse bird from.
She said titmouse.
She did.
My dad, ladies and gentlemen. But his cats brought in a bird, and it was still alive when they let it go. So I grabbed it, put it in a box, set it on the porch out back, sat there with my phone reading through Reddit or a fan fiction, I don't know, and eventually it flew away. Sang me a little song before it did. I actually had that posted on Reddit. If anybody
It said thank you. Aww.
Yeah, I thought it said thank you. It was adorable.
Aww.
It was a female specifically.
Well, then she was probably just cursing at you the whole time. I'm sure it was all your fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Control your animals. That's funny. My mom has, I want to say they're chipmunks that keep getting out in her house, but now I can't remember. But for her, the dog brings them in. So catches them. It doesn't know what to do with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
and then they run around the house.
You saw our dog. Most critters outweigh our dog. So
Yeah.
that's not good.
Oh, no, wait. I have the story wrong. Sorry, I'm remembering. The cat brings them in.
Oh.
And then the dog grabs them. That's right.
Fun.
That's fun.
Yeah. The cat's like, here, new toy for you.
There was one time.
Bark.
There was one time when the cats, I was home alone. I was probably like 15. The cats brought in a baby squirrel. And that was the first time that I discovered that squirrels can scream. Because they deposited it, the way our house is set up, their house is the secondary bedrooms that are not the master are down a short hallway.
Okay.
So they deposited that little sucker in the middle of that hallway. And
they didn't know where to go.
Incidentally, it was right under the smoke alarm. So I hear this screaming, and I'm thinking it's a smoke alarm for whatever reason. So I go into that hallway because that's where the sound is coming from. I'm looking up the smoke alarm, like, that's not going off. Where's that sound coming? Oh, I peed myself. It was horrifying.
Well, think how the poor squirrel felt.
Yeah. And I called Dad, and he was like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Come home and get it.
Come do your least favorite chore.
Yes.
That's awesome. Oh, yeah. Mom said that tonight it was a frog that they brought in.
Oh, joy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Our
It's
latest
been,
was a snake, I think, a little garden snake.
yeah. Well, they're in Atlanta, so it's the same thing. Like, in Florida, they've got all kinds of wildlife there. So it's same kind of warm temperature climate. So yeah, they said it's been chipmunks, birds, moles, rats, squirrels, possums. Possums. Your cat has brought possums in.
Baby possums, probably.
I've carried a couple of possums out in the raccoon trap.
Now that I can see. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. Yep.
Well, we did have a bird come in the other day, but its flight was a little more linear in a downward direction. It was done.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Florida Kevin says he's trying to train his puppies to kill and bring home fried chicken, but it's slow going.
There you go. That's the better plan right there.
I like that.
Mine would not bring home the chicken. I'm more likely to chase him around the house to spit out the chicken bones.
Let it go. Let it go. It's not yours. Let it go.
Drop it. Awesome. Well, you two are amazing. So thank you so much for being on. Where can fans find you and your work?
Well, our website is our favorite place to look for us because it's got all kinds of stuff, historical reference and stuff like that, plus all of the podcasts. We're going to put a link to your podcast on our website, which is bbleclere.com. Also have a Facebook presence that we're building up. It's Bill LeClere on Facebook. And we're going to change that whenever the Facebook gets us out of Facebook jail to BB LeClere. So that'll be there, but the website's the best place.
That's awesome. Zafo, it's actually BBLECLERE.
Yes.
.com.
Yep.
Sorry, he tried to put it in the chat, so he'll just fix it real quick.
Yeah.
So excellent. So that is great. So now that Bill and Becca are your favorite writers, please make sure to review their work. And also you can review us wherever it is you get your podcast. And you can subscribe on YouTube or follow on Twitch, or you can subscribe on Twitch if you really love us. We'll take it. It keeps the lights on around here. And that's it for this week, but we will see you next week with Rob Howell. See you then. Bye.
Yay, thank you.